person that robbed me for like $500 for a session ended up being in the studio while I was there with the president of the label.
We have them locked down.
I think so. I think they're in love. I think they're in love.
Politics speaking.
No, I really do think they're in love. I have a big crush on him now.
Blu Cantrell. You were singing Boo, and you made a choice to work with someone, and you probably didn't realize how nefarious he was when you got involved with.
What Blu Cantrell has kept hidden about Jay-Z could completely change the way you see them both. This isn't just gossip, it's a direct message. Blu, it's time for your voice to be heard again. For years, quiet rumors have floated through the hip-hop scene. Stories about a secret relationship, a hidden child, and a silence that wasn't chosen, it was forced. But what happens when that silence finally ends? Was Blu Cantrell pushed out of the spotlight to keep the Carter legacy safe? And here's the part that really stuns: what if Blue Ivy, the child, Jay-Z, is raising with Beyoncé, ISNT, actually Beyoncé's biological daughter?
Tension because you're around each other so much and you're fighting and you're nitpicking, and definitely can relate.
Yeah, let that sink in. We're jumping straight into one of the craziest and most tangled stories in music. And once you hear it all, the name Blu will never sound the same to you again. Before everything went sideways and she disappeared from the scene, Blu Cantrell was far from unknown. Her real name is Tiffany Cobb, and she had everything going for her: looks, talent, and serious momentum. She paid her dues for years, doing background vocals for big artists like Diddy. Then, in 2001, she got her shot. Her debut album So Blue dropped, and it didn't just make a splash, it took over. The single hit M Up Style, Oops, was playing non-stop on the radio. She wasn't just doing well, she was everywhere. In just 2 weeks, the album went gold, climbed the Billboard 200, and even got 2 Grammy nominations. She was all over the media, booking huge shows, and holding her own next to R&B heavyweights, like Ashanti, Ma, and Monica. But just when she was set to take over, things shifted, and it had nothing to do with bad music or poor sales. The real issue had Jay-Z's name written all over it. Industry talk said Blu and Jay weren't just casually meeting, they had something real. People spotted them together at events, on getaways, and partying behind closed doors. And these weren't regular parties. They were exclusive gatherings hosted by people like Diddy. The dating rumors started flying. And then Wendy Williams, never one to hold back, asked Blu directly on live radio if she had ever kissed Jay-Z. Blu laughed, dodged the question, and didn't give a clear answer. She didn't say yes, but she definitely didn't say no either. Her playful "can't answer that" and cheeky grin said more than words. That one moment had the entire industry talking. Instead of shutting down the rumors, she added fuel too. The fire ran, the timing couldn't have been worse. Beyoncé was just stepping into her solo career, and if the whispers were true, Jay-Z was stuck between 2 rising stars, one bold and unpredictable like Blu, and the other younger, polished, and strategic like Beyoncé.
Jay-Z romantically?
No. No, I can't answer that. I can't answer that. Why do people not want to let the Jay-Z Blu Cantrell
Then
thing
came
go?
the second bombshell right there in that now famous Wendy Williams interview. Blu didn't just stir the pot, she shook it. She dropped a hint that took things to another level. She suggested that Jay-Z didn't choose Beyoncé because of her talent, but because she was younger and easier to manage. That line landed hard, and it hit completely different.
On the radio, that I didn't think it would last though.
What, me and him?
Yeah,
Why?
because you're above 25.
Why, he needs somebody younger than that?
At the end of the day, yeah.
Why did you say that?
Because I think at the end of the day, a younger, less savvy to the ways of the world broad.
Somebody a little bit more naive.
You said it, not me.
Back then, most people dismissed it as petty jealousy. But now, looking back, it feels more like a warning. Blu came off like someone who had been cast aside, watching someone else live the life she was supposed to have. And she didn't hold anything back. She openly accused Beyoncé of copying her style, her whole vibe. Soon after, everything started to fall apart. Her shows stopped getting booked, and her label, Arista, quietly ended her contract without a public statement or drama. Her songs stopped playing on the radio, and her name began fading quickly. Within months, Blu Cantrell, once seen as one of the hottest R&B newcomers, was gone. Was it a simple career dip? Or did someone intentionally push her out? According to Jaguar Wright, another artist known for exposing the dark side of the music world, this wasn't just bad luck. She said Blu didn't disappear by chance. Jay-Z and Beyoncé used their influence to get her blacklisted. She even claimed that naming their daughter Blue Ivy wasn't random at all, but a calculated move. Jaguar said, "Jay-Z worked very hard to erase you and me. When Blu tried to return in 2013, it was already too late." She announced a third album and called herself a free agent, but nothing came out. No songs, no videos, no press, just silence. Then, in 2014, things took a strange turn. Blu was found running barefoot in Santa Monica, yelling that someone was trying to poison her with gas. She was taken in for a psych evaluation, and the media quickly labeled her unstable. From that point on, her name wasn't tied to music anymore. It was linked to breakdown rumors, but was it really a breakdown? Or was she running from something much darker? And that brings us to the rumor that refuses to die, the theory that Blu Cantrell is actually the biological mother of Blue Ivy Carter. At first glance, it sounds like another wild internet conspiracy until you start putting the pieces together. Blu disappeared from the spotlight around 2004, shortly after releasing her second album, and it wasn't a slow fade. She just went silent. No new music, no public appearances, no news. Then, in Arting ER, Beyoncé gave birth to a baby girl named Blue Ivy. Coincidence? At the same time, Blu was being erased. Jay-Z and Beyoncé's daughter was born and her name stood out immediately. Why would they name their child Blue? Something so specific and unusual? Some said it was Jay-Z's favorite color, but others saw it as personal, like a hidden message, a quiet tribute, or even a cover-up. That's when the theories got darker. Some fans believe Blu didn't just walk away. They think she was forced out, either pressured into giving up a child or into ending a pregnancy. One thing often brought up is Beyoncé's pregnancy timeline. In a 2011 interview with Australia's Sunday Night, Beyoncé wore a tight dress and smiled proudly. But when she sat down, something strange happened. Her stomach appeared to fold in a way that didn't look natural. The clip went viral and theories started flying. Was she wearing a fake baby bump? Was someone else carrying the child? When you look at the timing, Blu's disappearance, the pregnancy rumors, and the name Blue Ivy, the theory starts to feel less like gossip and more like something that was carefully hidden. If Beyoncé used a surrogate, who was it? Some believe Blu carried that baby and was forced into silence. Jaguar Wright, who has made a name for herself calling out shady behavior in the industry, didn't hold back. She accused Jay-Z and Beyoncé of rewriting history, controlling the story, and using their power to erase people who stood in their way. She even said the name Blue Ivy wasn't a coincidence, it was a message. Then it gets even more disturbing. According to Blu, when Beyoncé found out she was pregnant, she panicked. Blu claimed she was poisoned and that Beyoncé pressured her to end the pregnancy. That, Blu says, is what truly broke her not fame, not the business this. Now, fans look back at her 2014 breakdown in a different light. Running barefoot, screaming about poison. Some say she wasn't crazy, she was running for her life. They compare her story to other celebrities who were dismissed as unstable after speaking out: Britney Spears, Martin Lawrence, Kanye West, and yes, Jaguar Wright. Was Blu just another name added to that list? It's a pattern. First, ruin their reputation, then erase them. That's why the Blue Ivy theory still gets attention, even for those who believe Beyoncé gave birth. The secrecy, the NDAs, and the image control make everything feel off. Think about it: if Blu really had a child with Jay-Z, what would that mean for Beyoncé's image? For the Carter brand, which is worth billions and built on perfection, it would crack everything. Jay-Z wouldn't just look like a cheater, he'd be exposed for hiding a child. Beyoncé would be seen as someone who helped cover it up or changed the story entirely. And Blu wouldn't just be a forgotten singer, she'd be the missing piece of one of the biggest celebrity scandals ever. But here's what's strange. Blu has never said she had a baby. No public claim, no photos, no name. Nothing. That silence. It speaks louder than words. She didn't slowly fade, she vanished. And that silence might be exactly what was needed. Blu's career didn't fall off like most do, it was erased. One day she was a chart topper, the next gone. When you look at who was rising while she was being shut out, things get suspicious. Let's rewind to 2003. Blu dropped her second album, Bittersweet. It had strong songs, great vocals, and earned her another Grammy nomination. But something behind the scenes was off. The label barely promoted it. Arista, which pushed her debut so hard, suddenly went quiet. No big marketing, no real momentum. Her tours were cut. Her spotlight faded. At the same time, Beyoncé was getting ready to take over the industry, and Blu, she was getting pushed aside quietly but effectively. Then, her contract just wasn't renewed. no goodbye, no announcement. Just gone, people noticed, and then the comparisons started. Blu accused Beyoncé of more than just copying her style. She pointed out real examples. One was her music video for Roundup, a bold Western-themed piece, with edgy fashion and desert shots. Soon after, Beyoncé came out with visuals that looked eerily familiar. Then came Sean Paul. Blu had a massive hit with Breathe. Featuring him, it had a unique sound smooth with a Caribbean bounce. Not long after, Beyoncé dropped Baby Boy, also with Sean Paul. The vibe? Strikingly similar. Blu felt it wasn't just coincidence, it was calculated, and the difference was clear. Beyoncé had full support, top-tier videos, big budgets, constant promotion. Blu's backing fading. Her music stopped getting attention. Her budget was cut. Her name started disappearing. But Blu didn't stay quiet. In an interview with The Guardian, she finally spoke up. When asked about Beyoncé, she didn't sugarcoat anything. She said, "I'm an adult. She's younger. If she's doing what you're saying, she's being immature. If she tries me, that's the wrong move." Then she added, "If you have issues with your man, talk to him. Don't come at the girl." It was clear Blu wasn't hiding anymore. She was calling Beyoncé out directly, and Jay-Z, she didn't spare him either. Her frustration came through raw and real. But after that interview, Blu disappeared again. No new songs, no album, no shows, just silence. The moment she finally told her side of the story, she was gone. Sound familiar? Jaguar Wright doesn't see any of this as random. She calls it textbook. A former rising neo-soul artist herself, Jaguar has been exposing what she calls a strategic eraser in the industry, where artists who speak up or don't play along get quietly pushed out. She says Blu Cantrell is one of them. According to her, Jay-Z worked hard to make Blu disappear. And it was never just about music or whose song was better. It was about power. If Blu and Jay-Z had something deeper between them, maybe even a child, then removing her wasn't about hits or sales. It was about shutting down a story before it could explode. And Blu's case might not be the only one. Look at the other big names from that time. Ma, Monica, even Aaliyah. All of them were thriving before Beyoncé's solo career started. Soaring Ma went from red carpets and major tours to quietly going independent. Monica stopped getting big radio play, was on the verge of legendary status, crossing into film and to stardom, when her life ended in a 2001 plane crash right as Destiny's Child was leveling up. Fans and insiders started noticing the shift. It didn't feel like coincidence, it felt like a pattern. By 2004. Jay-Z wasn't just a rapper, he was president of Def Jam, one of the most powerful spots in music. And right around then, Blu's contract was dropped without a word. Later, she shared something that raised eyebrows: the lawyer she was told to trust during contract talks. He was also working for the label. That's not just a full-on conflict of interest, Blu said. If she had known, she would have hired her own attorney. But by then it was too late. They had taken control. She didn't own her masters. She barely got any royalties. And when she spoke up, she was cut off. No support, no path forward. Then came 2014. After years out of the spotlight, Blu showed up in headlines again, but not for music. She was found barefoot in the streets of Santa Monica at 2 a.m., screaming that someone was trying to poison her. With gas, police took her in for evaluation. And just like that, the media flipped the script. She was no longer an artist. She was unstable, crazy, done. But for some fans, this story felt familiar. In 1996, Martin Lawrence did almost the exact same thing, walking into traffic, claiming people were after him. Then in 2016, Kanye West was hospitalized after going on stage and calling out Jay-Z, Beyoncé, and others in the industry. Britney Spears. Years of legal control and media manipulation led to her public breakdown. It's like there's a script. Someone speaks out and suddenly they're labeled crazy. Blu's story fit that mold perfectly. But here's the twist: she eventually spoke up. According to Blu, that night in Santa Monica wasn't a breakdown. It was her trying to escape something terrifying. She said what happened to her wasn't just industry neglect, was betrayal. She claimed the same people who promised to help her ended up taking everything. That lawyer? She says he wasn't there to protect her. He was part of the same group that shut her out. He ended up representing Jay-Z's circle. Blu believes she was set up, lied to, and tossed aside. And it gets darker. She claims someone tried to poison her with gas. That night wasn't a meltdown. She says it was her running for her life. These are hard claims to prove, but she's not the only one saying things like this. And she's not the only one whose career fell apart after getting too close to that same circle. Take Tara Mari. She was once seen as the next big thing under Jay-Z's Rockefeller records. Then she disappeared. Insiders say Beyoncé found out she was getting too close to Jay, and suddenly Terrell was gone. One blind item even claimed Beyoncé sent word to top executives. No one was to sign her. If anyone tried, they got a visit and were warned off. Then there's Kathy White. another name linked to Jay-Z. Rumor spread that she was pregnant and ready to go public, but just before she could, she was found dead. Case closed, no investigation, no follow-up. Over the years, whispers grew louder, and they didn't just point to Jay-Z, started pointing at Beyoncé the theory. Kathy was silenced before she could talk. Viewed through that lens, Blu's 2014 episode doesn't look random. It starts to feel like the last cry for help from someone who'd been pushed too far. By then, Blu had nothing, no label, no legal backup, no media space. She was written off, and the industry moved on, but she wasn't alone. As Beyoncé's fame skyrocketed, other R&B women who once dominated began disappearing. Not gradually, just gone. No farewell albums, no big goodbye tours. Just silence. Look at Ma. She owned the late 90s and early 2000s awards. Hit singles, features with Jay-Z. She was a powerhouse. But once Beyoncé went solo, Ma started losing major backing. She ended up going indie, struggling with promo, and rebuilding from scratch. Years later, she admitted she felt blackballed, that the industry turned on her and she had to start all over. Then there's Aaliyah. Before Beyoncé's solo career really launched, Aaliyah was already becoming the queen of R&B and pop. She had the sound, the style, and the crossover appeal. Hollywood wanted her. A new album was ready. But in 2001, just as Destiny's Child was preparing to evolve, Aaliyah died. To some, it felt like a shift happened overnight. Culturally, the power moved. There wasn't anyone else at Beyoncé's level after that. No competition in sound, influence, or reach. And all of that leads back to BLU. What if Blu's story wasn't just a sad career fall-off? What if it was the start of something bigger? What if she was the first warning the artist who had it all but lost everything, not because of failure, but because she got too close to something she wasn't supposed to? This kind of thing isn't new in the music business. It's happened before, and judging by these patterns, it'll likely happen again. But now, more people are paying attention. The cracks are showing. The stories are resurfacing. Whistleblowers like Jaguar Wright are speaking up. Blu's old interviews are being revisited. Fans are connecting the dots. Documents and contracts that were once hidden are slowly being exposed. And if Blu Cantrell really was erased, then the real question is, who's next?